that you can remember from yesterday. Who thinks they can tell me what the definition of sensitometry is? How would you define sensitometry? Heidi?
The measurement, I'd say density sort of process. Being exposed, yeah. I remember just being exposed and process. Measuring something with exposed and process.
Okay, good. It's the measurement of the response of a film after exposure and processing takes place. Yes, that's the definition of sensitometry. Okay, so in other words, in order to measure a film's response, it's got to be not only exposed, but it's got to be processed. You can't do one or the other. Okay. Who can tell me what a densitometer is? This little densitometer. What is that? Okay, it's a device that measures the density. Okay, so it measures the overall blackness or darkness of the film. How is that actually taking place? What is it measuring? What's being done inside?
How much light makes it through the film?
There you go. How much light is transmitted through the film? That's going to be your measurements, and it's going to give you optical density values, or OD numbers. If an OD is 0.0, when you put the film on the densitometer, which probably is going to be impossible in our world, but theoretically if it was, what would that tell you? Okay, it's perfectly clear. How much of the light would be transmitted through? All of it, 100%, exactly. Now, if it went from 0.0 to 0.3, what would that tell you?
Doubling.
Okay, you've doubled the opacity, which means you have half the light that's now passing through. So it went from 100% of the light that passes through the film to now only allowing 50% of the light passing through the film. I was talking briefly about this in tutoring yesterday, but you can compare that. If you're having trouble, if you're struggling with how that works exactly, think of tinting your car windows, or if we tinted the windows in here. If you just put a fine tint on here, it'd probably block about half of the light coming through here. If you put a fine tint on your car windows, about half the light. If you put a really, really dark tint, you'd be like an OD of 1.0, which we know only allows how much percentage of light to pass through? About 10%, exactly. And then if we put maybe some illegal tint on our car or something and had an OD of 2.0, only about how much light would probably pass through? About 1%, exactly. So those are some numbers that you'll need to know. And that's what the densitometer is measuring. Okay. A couple more things about the densitometer. When you first turn it on, what must you do before you can have an accurate readout? Calibrate it, exactly. Zero it out, like we showed you in the lab the other day. You gotta make sure that it's set at 0. Kind of like you don't want to step on a scale if that scale is set at 5 pounds to begin with, because it's not gonna be accurate. It's gonna show you that you weigh 5 pounds more than you actually do. So you gotta calibrate it before you use it. Okay. All right, so that's the densitometer. What is a penetrometer? Okay, it's aluminum step wedge, exactly. Okay, that's what I was looking for. So exactly. So with a penetrometer, that's going to be used for some of your X-ray tube and your X-ray generator testing. Again, we don't go into depth in this class about those tests. We do in the RB 2563 about quality control before now. What you need to know about a penetrometer is just simply that. It's an aluminum step wedge. It would require an exposure in the X-ray room to produce an optical wedge, correct? Because you actually have to take an X-ray. That's the difference between that and a sensitometer. And what is a sensitometer? Tell me that. So you guys use this to what?
It actually, you actually expose the film with the sensitometer, so that you can test the chemicals in the processing.
Very good. Okay. Yes, so with a sensitometer, it's going to be a rigidly controlled tool that's gonna produce a very uniform and constant optical step wedge that you can then measure. Why we use that? Well, we're taking the X-ray tube and the generator out of the picture, and we're testing specifically for processor malfunctions. That's exactly it. Okay, so those are 3 tools that you use in sensitometry. Okay. Talk about the D-log E curve. I'll draw it up here.